Look at her face. She's not crying, not shaking. She's just sitting there, calm and still. The courtroom is dead quiet, except for the scribble of pens, the ticking of the clock, and the faint hum of air conditioning that suddenly feels too loud. On the stand, Jodi Arias leans forward. Her voice is soft. Her words are sharp. "Yes, I killed Travis Alexander," she says. Then she breathes, tilts her head, and adds the line that stops time in that courtroom. "But I didn't want to." You could hear gasps, but not from the jury. Not yet. But from the gallery, where the friends of a murdered man sit in stunned disbelief, as the woman who ended his life describes it like she's reciting a bedtime story. You see, this wasn't supposed to happen. Travis Alexander was the golden boy, the motivational speaker, the Mormon success story, the guy who pulled himself up from nothing and promised the world he was going somewhere. And she was supposed to be a footnote, a girl he dated, a phase he outgrew. But Jodi didn't fade into the background. She followed him, watched him, loved him, until she killed him. And now here we are, not in a romance, not in a tragedy, but in a courtroom where truth is on trial and everyone is wondering, was this a crime of passion? Or the final act in a performance she'd been rehearsing all along? To understand what brought us to this moment, this frozen, breathless moment where Jodi Arias says she didn't want to kill the man she butchered, we have to go back. Back before the mugshot, before the blood, before the gas can receipts and the deleted photos and the lies that spun tighter than a noose. Back to 2006, Las Vegas. A conference for a multi-level marketing company, where a bright-eyed, sharp-dressed Travis Alexander met a woman with a camera and a hunger to belong. Her name was Jodi Arias. She was charming, attentive, a little intense, but no one flagged it at the time. Travis saw someone eager, spiritual and pretty, and lonely. He baptized her, slept with her, called her his girlfriend, sometimes. But he never introduced her to his church, never brought her home to meet the family. She was part of a double life he was trying to manage, a temptation he couldn't resist but didn't want to commit to. And Jodi? She wanted more. When he drifted, she followed. When he pulled away, she pulled harder. Arizona, California, distance didn't matter. And when he started dating other women, Jodi showed up. Uninvited, unannounced. She was found hiding behind his Christmas tree once. Another time she slashed his tires. But Travis still let her back in. And on June 4, 2008, he let her in one last time. The photos didn't lie. That's what the prosecution said as they held them up, one by one. Travis, alive, smiling, soaked in the warm light of the shower. Then, seconds later, his final image. A blur. A face frozen in fear. A shadow behind the camera. Moments before everything turned red. The camera, found in the washing machine, still held every frame. Time-stamped. Undeniable. It was Jodi's camera. And it told a story she couldn't erase. But she tried. First she denied being there. Then she blamed intruders. And finally, when the evidence boxed her in, she changed the story again. It was self-defense, she said. That Travis attacked her. She had no choice. But here's where the courtroom began to turn. Because the wounds didn't match the story. She said he lunged at her, so she ran to grab a gun. But the bullet entered last. The stab wounds came first. The throat was cut so deeply, the coroner said it nearly decapitated him. That wasn't panic. That wasn't escape. That was rage. And the jury watched her carefully, not just her words but her face. She cried without tears. She described the killing in eerie detail, but never trembled. One juror said it felt like watching someone playing a role. Like she wasn't feeling it, she was performing it. And just like that, the image shifted. Jodi Arias wasn't just on trial for murder. She was on trial for credibility, for humanity, for whether her face could still be trusted after the mask came off. The prosecutors knew it wasn't enough to say Jodi Arias killed Travis Alexander. They had to prove what was behind the blade, the bullet, the camera she tried to destroy. So they put her on the stand and let her talk. And Jodi talked. For 18 days. She cried. She explained. She corrected the prosecution mid-question. She stared directly at the jurors like she was trying to win them over one by one. At times, it felt less like testimony and more like a documentary, one she was directing from the witness box. She spoke about abuse, about feeling scared, about sex and shame and secret phone calls. But as her story unraveled, so did her credibility. Prosecutor Juan Martinez, sharp, aggressive, relentless, turned the courtroom into a battlefield. He pounced on contradictions. If you were so scared, he asked, why did you stop to delete the photos? If it was self-defense, why stab him after he was already down? Jodi blinked, paused, tilted her head like the answer might float into the air if she waited long enough. But it never did. She danced around direct answers. She got defensive. And the jury watched. Some leaned forward. Some shook their heads. One juror wrote later, she was calm, calculated, too composed. Like she was acting out a script she'd memorized in front of a mirror. Even her own defense team looked uneasy at times. They argued battered woman syndrome. But the evidence didn't back it. There were no hospital records. No police reports. No witnesses. Just her word. The word of a woman who had already lied a lot. As the trial neared its close, the courtroom transformed. It was no longer just a place of justice. It became theater. Every day people lined up before sunrise just to get a seat. Some camped overnight. Not to mourn Travis. Not to support Jodi. But to watch. Courtroom sketches were splashed across primetime. HLN's Nancy Grace branded Jodi, a killer with mascara. Social media lit up with hashtags. Hashtag Justice for Travis trended nationwide. Jodi became a character. A femme fatale. A manipulator. A walking contradiction. Some called her a victim. Others said she was the devil in designer glasses. The nation watched as she sketched in court, doodling flowers and birds as lawyers debated life and death. Jurors noted it. Reporters questioned it. Who sits through a murder trial and draws butterflies? And then came the verdict. The courtroom was packed. Travis's family clutched each other in silence. The jury filed in, heads down, solemn. The clerk read it out loud. We the jury find the defendant, Jodi and Arias, guilty of murder in the first degree. Jodi barely flinched. She looked down, lips pressed together. No gasp. No tears. And in that moment, America exhaled. But the trial wasn't over. The sentencing phase brought more drama. The jury had to decide, life or death? Jodi took the stand again. This time she wore her glasses with her hair pulled back. A softer look. She spoke about wanting to teach literacy to other inmates, about donating her hair to cancer patients. I want to contribute something meaningful, she said. Some believed it was another mask. Others called it her final performance. Behind bars, Jodi Arias became a fascination. She gave jailhouse interviews. She sold her art online, self-portraits, quotes, even drawings of Travis. She maintained fan pages, sent letters to supporters. One headline read, "Murderer or misunderstood? America can't decide." But Travis's family had no doubt. They had buried a brother, a son, a man whose life was stolen and then dissected in the public eye. and while Jodi sketched roses, they mourned in silence. The psychologist who observed her called her a textbook narcissist, emotionally shallow, craving attention, capable of mimicry but not empathy. Dr. Drew said, "She's incredibly intelligent and incredibly dangerous." Others described her as a mirror, reflecting back whatever people wanted to see, a victim to some, a predator to others, but always in control of the narrative. She didn't just commit a crime, she directed the aftermath. She gave the world exactly what it wanted, a mystery dressed up as a confession, and she never broke character. So what do we do with a case like this? With a woman who seemed to turn a murder trial into a reality show, her life edited, rehearsed, delivered in fragments. What do we say about someone who could kill so brutally, and then paint flowers in court? The truth is, we may never fully understand Jodi Arias, but we understand obsession, we understand rejection, and we understand how far a person can go when they feel unseen. She didn't kill him in a moment of panic. She killed him to reclaim power, to write the ending herself. And that's why this story haunts people still. Not just because of the violence, but because of how carefully it was packaged. Because behind the courtroom walls, beneath the headlines and handcuffs, this wasn't just a murder, it was a play. And Jodi Arias was the only one who knew the script. And at the end you can't help but wonder, what on God's green earth will ever make someone kill the one they claim to love? Don't forget to like this video, share and subscribe for more.